Hey guys, Sheep here. Welcome to the Rolling Thunder Sorceress Guide video that goes along with the written companion guide. So we're probably going to go in the order of skills, stats, items, merc gear. Speaking of which, let me grab my Mercenary real fast. Sorry about that. So, start with skills. Skill button is somewhere. I am great at this, by the way. So, skills. Our main skill is Rolling Thunder. This is our damage source. We're also maxing its synergy and lightning mastery as we're a sorceress. To complement our Rolling Thunder, we've also opted to go for a 1-point energy shield as our secondary defensive layer. In remodded, you just take too much damage in a single hit for pure energy shield to be viable, especially since energy shield's defenses occur before your resistances are taken into account, meaning that we'd be giving up this 90% lightning resist if you're a pure energy shield build. We're still taking 86% of our damage off of our life pool into our ES, but it's not like as bad when we get hit by things like mana burn or just insanely high life hits. To add to our energy shield, we opted to get its synergy, which is astral projection, so we're only taking 0.7 per every mana that would be taken. So we max astral projection. Comes with a super added benefit of 30% faster cast rate, so that we can hit the 105 breakpoint easier. For 1 point, our other max skill is warmth for mana recovery and faster cast rate. A large portion of our mana regen does come from warmth, almost half of it. The rest of it comes from our 1 point in cold master and our 1 point in fire master, which is another 100%. Then we're also getting 1 point ice clone. This is only really useful in Trials 21 plus. And its main use is distracting the barbs while you run away. On this build, I rarely use it, but it's still nice to have in some situations. And our last point in our dump skill is Shiver Armor. We're mostly getting this for the chance to freeze when something hits you and the huge defense bonus. With Shiver Armor on, we go from 3.3 to 1800, or 18,000, my bad, armor. It's still not like enough to keep you from getting bombed by a barb, but it's enough that like random bullshittery doesn't hit you. Next, we'll go to our stats. We're enough strength to wear our gear. Enough dex for max block. We're hitting 75% max block. This is where the weird part comes. When we're buffed, we want around 2k mana and 2.5k life. The reason for this is we want to be immune to the blood magic curse. And since our Mercenary has a skill that gives us 37% increased mana, we need to stay about 400 to 500 less mana than life. And so therefore we're immune to the curse, so we don't kill ourselves accidentally with how much mana per cast we're spending. And that is it for our stats. So we'll move over to our items. This is the best in slot item for this build, hands down. It's perfect. Was designed by a Patreon, and this item is just so goddamn good for our build. So to top it off, we're +6 to Rolling Thunder on this, 2 is Sorc skills, 4 is Rolling Thunder, the extra +1 to all skills, and it's an enchant. We also have 30% faster cast rate, lightning skill damage, immunity reduction, 2 to spell power, so that we're getting flat damage on our Rolling Thunder, and we're getting additional projectiles from it. And then to top it off, we have some magic find on this item, even with some vitality and energy. Such a solid, amazing item for us. For style points, get it in ethereal, socketed with faucets. If you see a jewel in this build, it's faucets. As anyone in remodded will tell you, if you're trying to break immunities, Elemental Blueprints is the set to be going. We're using Crown of Cold, Lightning Locket, and Blazing Band, obviously. We're on a Zod in our amulet for the magic, fire, light, and cold absorb that you get. We're on a in our ring to cap our resistances. We were a little lower than we should have been on resistances, so we had to fix that with an And then our helm is full of faucets. For our secondary ring, we're on a Stone of Jordan. The increased maximum mana is really hard to replace, and 1 all skills is nice. We opted to socket this with another Zod for more magic, fire, light, cold absorb, giving us 10% absorb in just our Zods. For our gloves, we're an Indra's Mark, giving us another 8% lightning absorb. This is important because our number one nemesis is souls, and this build does get to survive souls with our 2 Zods and our 8% from Endras. Thank God. I hate souls. It also gives us +1 skills, lightning skills specifically. The all skills is an enchant once again. Some extra lightning immunity, which we don't really need, but I think it's actually coming from our faucets. My bad. Apologies, I'm not recording this again. And then lastly, it gives us some extra lightning skill damage, which is actually on this item. Good job, me. And the cooldown reduction matters 0%. Okay. To our chest piece. Our chest piece is Spell Splitter. The important stats on this are the minus lightning resistance, the plus vitality, and the spell power. Minus lightning resistance, obvious stat, extra damage. Vitality, unfortunately, vitality based on character levels doesn't scale properly with percent increased life through effects like battle orders. Or, my bad, we're in remodded war stance. So, unfortunately, it's not as good as it could be, but it's still quite a bit of life. And then, to top it off, it also has 30% Magic Find. Just a good extra benefit. We put 4 faucets in it. And then for our boots, we're on Mono Worm, and the entire purpose of wearing this is for that line that says 190 to mana. The max res, also really good, but not as good as 190 to mana. So that's it for our... Oh, I almost forgot our Storm Shield. I was so like, yeah, everyone knows what a Storm Shield looks like. Why would I need to show off a Storm Shield? We're wearing the Storm Shield because it's got 35% damage reduction, which with our belt that I also forgot about, because it's 50% damage reduction. But I left the belt to last on purpose, because this is a bugged string of ears. This was only available through the anniversary event that happened at the start of January. So unfortunately, you cannot get this belt anymore. But you can replace it with a Verdungos and lose almost nothing. Or you can replace it with any belt in the game and put 2 bear runes in it instead of rainbow faucets, and also lose almost nothing. We enchanted with +1 skills. So now we'll move on to our charms. Speaking of items you could only get in the anniversary event, this Blank Talents is slightly better than the one you can get, but it's not that much of a damage difference. It's like 500 damage on our Rolling Thunder, which our Rolling Thunder is already doing 1400 damage. It doesn't really matter. So you'd have a 1 skill 50% Magic Find instead of a 2 skill 100% Magic Find. Realistically, I already own every single item in this game, so putting Magic Find on this was a waste. By so much, you'd be better off putting physical damage reduction or magic damage reduction on this instead. But, you know, I don't need items. So, yeah. Speaking of which, this should be a Geeds, but I opted for a Lightning Sealer for the same reason that I already own everything and I don't need a bit of Magic Find. We're also on a Torch and an Annie. Just generic stuff. You know why we're using these. Stats plus resistances go burr. We're on a Healthy Breakfast. This one was part of the Christmas event. Oh, my bad. The Thanksgiving event. So if you can't get this, just put any small charm here. We're also on 3 Testaments. I'm sorry, I gotta drink real fast. We're on 3 Testaments. I was trying my best, but I'm only human. We're on Gluttony, Wrath, and Vanity. Minus enemy resistances is really nice. +1 skills, obviously, on a 2 charm slot. Super good. And then 20 stats, also really good. And then we can talk about the best charm in the game, 7 Deadly Sins. The EEE charm. The important part of this charm is everything. Everything on this charm is insanely good. We're not going to talk about it too much. Everyone knows this is the very end game farm of remodded, and if you don't have this, it's fine. Just fill your inventory with plus skill, life, charms, and you'd be okay. You need a couple smalls to fix your resistances, but it's not like our damage reduction is really functioning because of this charm or anything like that. So you'd be fine. It'd be worse, but you'd be fine. Okay, now we can talk about our Mercenary. So, remember when I said anniversary items? Yeah, we have 2 on the Mercenary, but they can be swapped to Shaft Stop and a regular String of Ears, and you'd lose nothing. Like, literally nothing. I put these on there because I had them. Just use regular versions or Shaft Stop. We're on Nature's Kingdom's Gloves and Boots, 100% for Meditation Aura. This gives us about 900% more mana regen. Super solid for our mana requiring build. Speaking of our auras, we're also on Cleansing Ward for Clear Ailments, which is exactly like it says. It's there to get rid of curses and poison faster. Speaking of poisons, we're using prayer auras to negate the poison damage. We should have a lightning locket here for another 10% level 10 prayer aura, stacking up to an almost 40 prayer aura. But unfortunately, I didn't have another lightning locket, so we're just on a Mara to cap our resistances on our mercenary. For our helm, we're on knowledge. This could also be Hygiea's purity, and I know I pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I don't have one of those either. But it's just a higher level cleansing clear ailments aura, which we don't really need because poisons are negated almost entirely by the prayer aura here. Lastly, we're on lightsaber. This is 100% because of lightning absorb, 25%, and no other stat on it. If you had to pick another weapon to put here, you could put an alacrity, but like it wouldn't do anything for you. It would just kind of be there. So yeah. So that is it for gear. We're gonna show off a quick Players 8 Tristram. Originally, I also had trials to show off, but unfortunately, I bricked that video, and so I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. So first of all, let's get our soul summons. I should talk about this paladin real fast. So if you'll see, my damage reduction and my magic damage reduction are really shoddy. It's because I'm using this paladin instead of crafts on my gear to hit max to hit 50 PDR MDR. So realistically, I could just craft it on my gear, but I had the paladin. I'm using the paladin. Why not? The necromancer's just there. He doesn't matter. You get that from your beacon, in case you're wondering. Single player only. Okay, so buff up. We have energy shield, shiver armor, warmth, one cast of our war stance, and we'll do this very hard, very interesting content. Okay, now that our very interesting content is over, that is the end of the guide. As you can see, we're pretty solid. I've taken this build all the way to the end of trials, like by itself. So yeah, that is the end of the Rolling Thunder guide. I'm sorry I didn't do a trials run. I'll show a full trial clear video at a later date. Peace until then, guys.